And we are up and running, and it is the 21st of July in the year 2016, and it's hotter than blazes outside. For those of you who are sharing the Midwest experience with us, it's supposed to be 4 days of 116 to 130 degree with the all the relevant humidity factored in. So it is hell outside. How are you this morning, Barrett?
I'm having a pretty good time in hell, actually.
Yeah, well, some people go out and they're just hell raisers and they bring hell up to a tolerable level. And that's not always a bad thing, but
I haven't started rolling the boulder up the hill, the one that just falls back down, and I have to do it again and again. So I'm sure things will kind of go south when I start doing that.
Right. Well, if you're going to roll a boulder, you're probably well advised to roll a boulder out into Lake Michigan, preferably as close to naked as you can be. And this kind of silly dialogue actually is a nice lead-in for the Course in Miracles section that we're looking at right now, which is the second obstacle to finding that connection, to experiencing that union with our source, and looking at the body and seeing it as having value. So that is an interesting conundrum for us, because even though the body betrays us on every avenue that we go down with it, nonetheless we defend it and cherish it and worship it and cover it with baubles and bangles and makeup and everything else. So how many tattoos do you have, Barrett?
I don't know. I lose track. It's 15 or 18.
Yeah, getting that body tattooed is an important part of the body ritual.
Well, I have seen some really amazing tattoos, so it just has not spoken to me yet as a ritual for myself. But I think it just ties right into the to that line that's repeated in the workbook more than any other line, which is, "I am not a body. I am not a body. I am free, for I am still as God created me." So this is really the message here, that this obstacle to peace that we're talking about. It's in chapter 19. Section 4, subsection B. Belief the body is valuable for what it offers. This is an obstacle to peace. The body seems to give us pleasure, whether it's food, whether it's sex, whether it's alcohol, whether it's all kinds of different things. Being in a comfortable temperature this time of year, that can be very pleasurable. But then it also seems to give us pain. It provides discomfort, it provides hurt. There's even psychological hurt, which you would also say is of the body, because the body in the Course really refers to anything of separation. So even the psychological mind that is separate from other minds is an idea of a body. It's a different kind of body. It's a broader use of the term body, but really what we can say is that there is nothing that separation offers us that is valuable. And that's the point of this whole area that we're going to go into today, which I think is really helpful to see.
Exactly. And the body, unfortunately, is basically a weapon that we use to act out a fantasy of being able to murder those around us or experience death ourselves. And that is such an odd attachment when you really stop and think about it. Beings who are infinite and glorious and perfect in every sense of the word, but who have allowed themselves to indulge in the idea that they are separate one from another, and have secret thoughts that load us up on guilt. We sit and watch television in the evening and contemplate, wow, if I was in that situation, I would just go out there and bomb those people over on that side of the street and burn down people on the other side of the street. And it just gets uglier and uglier. And it's all because, again, we imagine ourselves as being separate from each other.
Yeah, you could think of separation as like a wall, and it's a wall between you and me. And what does believing that the body is real tell us? It tells us that there is a wall. Maybe it's a wall of air. Maybe it's the wall of our flesh. But the body does say, I'm here, you're there. We're not the same. So it basically is a testament. It's quote unquote proof that the separation is real. But what we're coming to see is that no, we actually made this all up, including the body, including this whole world of time and space. We made it all up to provide proof that an impossible idea of separation could be true. So I'm just going to jump in here to this. He says the second obstacle that peace must flow across, and closely related to the first, is the belief that the body is valuable for what it offers. For here is the attraction of guilt made manifest in the body and seen in it. This is the value that you think peace would rob you of. This is what you believe that it would dispossess and leave you homeless. And it is this for which you would deny a home to peace. So what he's saying here is that we are actually clinging to this idea of a separation, and that this idea that we can let go of our identity as a body is threatening to us. It feels like death to us. It feels like an end to us. But it's only an end to a false idea. And we will come to see that there is no real loss in letting go of this false self. But it is a process, and we need to be kind to ourselves and notice when we're afraid of really getting this idea. It's possible, as Chris and I are talking, that you're even feeling some fear right now. So this is not to deny your fear. This is not to deny the resistance to this idea. But a lot of times talking about these ideas will actually bring up these resistances, and then they become our opportunities for healing and for growth.
Yeah, it's not unusual to feel discomfort when we encounter thoughts that we don't want to actually examine. And within this whole issue around the body and the idea of separation, it goes down to one fundamental and very lucid element, which is the idea of allowing ourselves to share our minds. I mean, we're often obsessed with going out and sharing our body with another body. What we think is, oh wow, great sex. We're going to have a great relationship. And of course, as we travel down that road, it gets rougher and rougher. But the real actual core of all of this is that realization that we want to have our hidden thoughts, our private regions, where we entertain all sorts of ways of violating others or being violated ourselves. And so the body then becomes the vehicle that we can use for this, and that we can kind of slither around the edge of, without having to really stop and address the truth that we are unwilling to be completely transparent in all of our thoughts and all of our deeds and all of our actions.
Yeah, and I think it's important to put in here too that as we're kind of talking about the uses that the ego has for the body, it's not that the body is completely useless, that we can actually turn the purpose and our whole lives, our whole experience still seeming to be a body over to the Holy Spirit. And then Jesus talks in other parts, and I'm sure he'll talk about a little farther on in this section, about how the body becomes a tool for spirit. The body becomes a communication device. The body becomes a vessel that that light can shine through into the world and into our lives and into the lives of others. So we do need to be very clear-eyed about what the body is for and the ego's purpose, though, and that's why we're really diving into all the different ways that we do use the body as an attack. And we do use the body to hurt ourselves or others in very blatant ways that we often see around us in the world or in the news, but also in very subtle ways. And so it is about that transparency that Chris is talking about here, about how do we really be transparent with ourselves? How do we let these dark corners within our own mind, within our own self come forward so they can be seen and they can be healed, they can be released? That's really the path to coming to know that all that we are is love. So it is a process that requires us to go into the shadow, but not to get stuck in the shadow and not to identify with the shadow, but not to be afraid of witnessing it either. So it's sort of a fine line we need to navigate.
Exactly, and it a lot of this really brings up a lot of imagery around Jungian psychology, because Carl Jung unknowingly examined all these areas 100 years ago and came up with a type of therapy that kind of approaches a lot of the concepts that we find at the core of the Course in Miracles. But looking at that third section, the Holy Spirit's messengers are sent far beyond the body, calling the mind to join in holy communion and be at peace. And that is, that really is the core of A Course in Miracles, is to allow ourselves to experience that reunion with each other, wherein we discover that there really is only one self. And boy, what a struggle that has become in our current times.
Yeah, we don't have to look very far to see the conflict and to see the pain and the struggle, the inhumanity. I mean, there's this word inhumanity, but it's so essentially human to mistreat one another and to be unkind to one another. And ultimately, we come to see that we are not human, that is not what we really are. And I know that it's kind of a shocker there, but the truth of what we are is actually just pure love. So we can still show up and be in this human form, live this human life, but we come at it from a different angle. And we come at it from a perspective of only wanting to share open-heartedness, only wanting to share peace. And I'm not saying I'm always there, but I think that goal, that journey to that experience is a worthy one, and it's really the only worthy one if we really look at all of our alternatives.
Yeah, this is where we step off that ledge that defines the human experience and start to recognize illusion for illusion. And that is what we are being faced with in all directions right now, is that things have become so acutely absurd that you can't believe what your senses are telling you. If you're listening to things and observing things and engaged in trying to fix the problem in the material world from the level of the material world, then you are so immersed in your body and you are so driven by the fears of the body that you basically become incapable of actually finding any relief in any direction. So if you do want to find that source of peace that comes from God, the peace that passeth understanding, this is the first step we have to take. We have to look at the body, and we have to look at the reality that the body is causing us to respond from. And then all of a sudden we can shift our attachment to all of these spheres and, lighten up a little bit and recognize that in truth, none of this is real. And these are only transient moments along a timeline that seems to be infinite, but at the same time is shrinking every second that we're observing it.
Yeah, and that's a big theme, even in the very beginning of the text, that the miracle is the only tool at our disposal for collapsing time. And what Jesus is saying is that when we choose kindness consistently, there maybe was a timeline where we had to learn this lesson repeatedly. But when we choose kindness again and again, we can actually reduce the number of lessons we still have to go through. And it's a very comforting thought. It means that we're kind of sparing ourselves future misery by kindness in the present. And I think that really builds on itself. And I think it fits in with another paragraph. If we move ahead a few to paragraph 5 here. You are paid very dearly for your illusions, and nothing you have paid for brought you peace. Are you not glad that heaven cannot be sacrificed, and sacrifice cannot be asked of you? There is no obstacle that you can place before our union, for in your holy relationship I am there already. We will surmount all obstacles together, for we stand within the gates and not outside. How easily the gates are opened from within to let peace through to bless the tired world. So he's really letting us know that it seems very hard to us, this journey to peace or working through the problems in our life. And to him, it is so simple, and that he's just asking us to take his outstretched hand. It's there. It's waiting for us to hold it. And all we need to do is really say, yes, this is what I want. I want love without condition. And it sounds like such a simple thing to do, and many of us have done it, at least intellectually. But to do it full body, mind, soul, to do it without any reservation is really the goal that we have. And that does take some practice. It takes working through our resistances and our fears of actually saying yes to love.
That is very true. And there are so many triggers that we respond to life on such a unconscious level. We are sleepwalkers who are stumbling around over all these things that pop up randomly or repeatedly that trigger us to fall back into that fight or flight mode and that protect the body at all cost mode. And yet the truth is that, all of this can be dispelled in that one instant where we just stop and step into stillness. It's that simple. That is the thing that is such a confounding thing for most of us, is that it's hard for us to realize how much power there is in that state of silence and how that can be so transformative that it can affect the timeline on a multitude of different levels. It can resolve the issues of the past that we're holding on to. It can alter the direction of the future that we are heading into. And it all happens in that one instant that is right here and right now that we are actually experiencing in totality. There is no part of us that has stepped out of that. We're no longer thinking about what was or what will be, but we are completely in union with ourselves in the here and now.
Yeah, that's a beautiful image, and I think it's what we can aim for. I think we've aimed for a lot of things in this life, and this section speaks to that. We're believing that if we get that car, if we get that relationship, if we have that sexual experience, or that maybe that perfect meal even, that we're going to be happy, we're going to be at peace. And those things, we may get them, and they may make us temporarily feel good, but they are fleeting, and they are bound to change. But the good news is that oneness that we were talking about, that doesn't change. That doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't leave. It never changes. It's always there. And that eternal nature of it is something that is it's hard to get in an intellectual way. But as we keep healing, we do start to tune into that. We do start to tune into the immense beauty of truth, and it becomes our purpose to have that experience without ever stepping away from it again.
Exactly. And the beauty of it is that it is a consistent experience. Sometimes you're going out for dinner at one restaurant and you have a spectacular experience, and then the following week you go to the same restaurant and a different cook is having a bad day, and it turns out to be a disaster. So the one thing that is the most beautiful and sacred part of all of this is the fact that you can have that anticipation of consistency every time you enter into that space of stillness.
Yeah. So I think it does kind of fit right with this last section of this paragraph of this section. Forgive me your illusions and release me from punishment for what I have not done. So will you learn the freedom that I taught by teaching freedom to your brother, and so releasing me. I am within your holy relationship, yet you would imprison me behind the obstacles you raise to freedom and bar my way to you. Yet it is not possible to keep away one who is there already. And in him it is possible that our communion, where we are joined already, will be the focus of the new perception that will bring light to all the world contained in you. So I think that's kind of a fitting last part for us to read today that really speaks to the beautiful truth that Jesus is always directing us towards, and that if we keep going, that's really the message here, just to keep going, whatever's going on in your world, in your life, keep practicing these ideas, keep using the ideas of kindness and forgiveness and love, and you will get to that experience, even if it's not there for you right in this moment. Because Jesus' hand is outstretched to you. So in whatever way you can, let yourself take it and let yourself feel that happiness and that peace.
Absolutely. And, one of the things that this really is a synopsis of is that recognition that just as Jesus was crucified, so are we all crucified by each other. Mm-hmm. And that we are constantly accusing each other of being the murderer. And that's what we have to get beyond, is to see the person that we identify as the murderer as being as guiltless as Jesus was when he was in that state of being crucified. And when we can, penetrate the illusion to that level, then we're actually moving forward at a pretty accelerated pace. And that's when you're going to start seeing some miracles arrive on a lot of different levels in your day-to-day experience.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And I just had a thought come to mind. Sin in the Course really just means the belief that we are separate, the belief in separation from God. So knowing that definition, you can take a whole new meaning to the line, go forth and sin no more.
Exactly. And of course, with current conditions outside, if you sin, you'll probably pass out and become a corpse on the sidewalk if you're not careful. So you can wind it down on that happy thought.
Golly gee.
I just like to leave them with that sense of warm, fuzzy stuff.
Oh, so good talking with you, Chris. This is great.
Yes, it was a great chat, and you'll be in Milwaukee tomorrow, and then we'll be doing our day after tomorrow. And then the Sunday after that, a week from that, we will be doing our thing down here in Alsip. So people need to get out there and check out your website and check out Facebook and see what's happening with our collaboration here.
Yeah, come on down to Alsip if you're in the area. We're gonna just have a lot of fun, a lot of laughter. If you like these talks, you'll love hanging out with us for the afternoon.
Well, I will see you in a week, if not earlier.
All right, look forward to it.
Take care.
All right, bye, man.
Goodbye.